Guys, I just landed in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. And before the airplane doors even open, the cabin already feels like a pressure cooker full of panic, sweat, and people silently regretting their travel choices. Then I spotted him, my fixer and translator, Jama. No handshake, no smile, no welcome, my friend. Instead, he gave me a slow, precise nod. The kind of nod that says he already knows who I am, why I'm here, and who else is watching me. I was guided into a bulletproof vehicle with 2 armed escorts in the back next to me while Jama sat up front. That's when it hit me. This was way more intense than I expected. Every move was designed to keep me safe from real dangers, where visitors like me could be at risk without proper security. As we drove deeper into the city, I watched Jama handle the car with the precision of a professional stunt driver. And just like that, my 24 hours officially started. As we roll out, Mogadishu starts unfolding like a movie that can't decide if it's an action film, a documentary, or someone's unfinished prayer. I asked Jama about how piracy even became a thing in Somalia. He doesn't look at me, but he answers, "When the world forgot about Somalia, Somalia remembered the ocean." After the government collapsed in 1991, Somalia wasn't just unstable, it was leaderless, coast guardless, and lawless. Foreign ships, fishing fleets, and illegal travelers from countries as far as Europe and Asia started swarming Somali waters like it was an all-you-can-steal seafood buffet. They weren't fishing, they were vacuum harvesting, as billions of dollars of fish ripped away while locals watched their only resource disappear. Then came something darker. Reports of toxic waste dumping offshore, drums, containers, chemicals, even rumors of radioactive material because no navy existed to stop it. So local Somali fishermen armed themselves with whatever they could find. Old leftover gear, help from local clans, or weapons bought on the black market. They didn't begin as pirates, they began as self-appointed coast guards trying to protect their waters. Jama pauses and looks at me through the rearview mirror. At first, they only find the ships. They didn't want to take anyone's vessel, but money changes everything. One captured ship could earn more than 20 years of regular fishing, and that kind of math changes a coastline real quick. What started with a few angry fishermen suddenly grew into something that looked less like payback and more like a startup with zero moral guidelines. The tools leveled up first. Small wooden skiffs turned into fast speedboats. Binoculars got replaced with satellite phones. And one guy with an old rifle became a full crew backed by support teams. Piracy didn't just happen, it scaled. By the mid-2000s, Somali pirates controlled one of the biggest hijacking zones on the planet. Over 1 million square miles of ocean, basically the distance from Boston to Miami. That's when global headlines started blowing up. Cargo ships, oil tankers, fishing boats, even luxury yachts all became targets. Ransoms jumped from tens of thousands to millions. Some crews were held for months, others for years. And then piracy hit its worldwide spotlight. In 2009, the MV Marks Alabama was hijacked in a story so dramatic it became the movie Captain Phillips. A day before the attack, the US warned the ship to stay 600 miles from Somalia, but Captain Richard Phillips sailed far closer, a risky choice that set the stage for everything that followed. On April 8th, 4 armed pirates raced toward the ship. The crew hid in a safe room, and Chief Engineer Mike Perry flooded the pirate skiff with a sharp turn. But the pirates still boarded and took Phillips hostage. After a brief struggle injured 1 pirate, the others escaped in a lifeboat with Phillips. By dawn, the USS Bainbridge arrived, triggering a tense 3-day standoff, but negotiations failed. On April 12th, with President Obama's approval, Navy SEAL snipers fired from a moving ship and unalived all 3 pirates with flawless single shots, rescuing Phillips unharmed. The surviving pirate, Abdul Wali, a teenager at the time but tried as an adult, was sentenced to more than 33 years in a US prison. The dramatic rescue dominated global news, and the Marks Alabama later faced 4 more pirate attacks, all successfully stopped by armed security teams. As the car shakes over the rough ground, Jama glances at me and says, "If you want to understand pirates, you have to see what they became." And that's exactly where we're heading next. We're driving deeper along the coast, and the farther we go, the more the landscape feels like a retired legend. Rusted boat frames sit half buried in the sand, like old giants that finally gave up. Between 2008 and 2012, Somali pirates ruled the seas, says Jama, his eyes fixed straight ahead. I look out at the coastline. It's calm, quiet, acting like it has no past. But as Jama talks, it feels like I've stepped into a live-action Netflix documentary. He explains that the golden years began when pirates realized small skiffs weren't enough anymore, now when ships were passing hundreds of miles offshore. So they adapted, fast. They hijacked bigger vessels and turned them into motherships, floating bases that could travel hundreds of miles, carry supplies, launch crews, and stay on the ocean like mobile bases built for a long hunt. Then there were the ransoms, money delivered by night, by courier, by helicopter in some cases, and just when I think I finally get the scale of it all, Jama tells me we're going to meet the man who sat at the top of the ocean economy. No name, no address, Jama just keeps walking, like speaking out loud might make the ground itself listen. Then we see a tall, dark figure in the shadow of a disheveled building. He doesn't introduce himself, no handshake, no polite greeting. He just points to the seat across from him. The guards watch me like a broken camera, trying to decide if I'm a threat. The man speaks softly, voice flat, which somehow makes it even louder. He says, "My name doesn't matter. What matters is the ship, the sea, the ransom." He says he started as a fisherman, with a net and a hope, until foreign trawlers dragged through his waters like shopping carts through seaweed. One day he realized the ocean no longer fed him, so he followed the dream that kept waking him up at night, a speedboat. He bought the boat, he bought a pew-pew, he bought a network. When I asked how much, he gave a small, almost tired smile. "Millions," he said. Then he described the hijacking, calmly, like it was replaying an old routine. Lights in the dark, a tanker slowed as it crossed what he called our water. Armed men in skiffs cutting through the waves, radio voices switching between Arabic, Somali, and English. And somewhere far away, the world is holding its breath on a negotiation line. He said they didn't just rely on one fast boat. They used motherships, floating fortresses that could travel hundreds of miles, carry supplies, launch crews, and stay on the ocean like mobile bases built for a long hunt. Then there were the ransoms, money delivered by night, by courier, by helicopter in some cases. And just when I think I finally get the scale of it all, Jama tells me we're about to meet someone who lived it from the inside. But meeting one man doesn't explain how an entire coastline survived on piracy.
Guys, we're now in Isle, an ancient port town in the northeastern Nugal region of Somalia. According to researchers, piracy in Somalia functioned like a miniature economy, a full ecosystem where everyone had a role, from the financiers to the fishermen, even if they pretended otherwise. Jama keeps walking and taps the hood of a half-finished concrete house. Before piracy money arrived, most of these buildings were mud huts, he says. When the ransom payments came, some families built homes so fast the cement was still wet when they moved in. In Haradere, another coastal town, development happened so suddenly it felt like someone dropped prosperity from a helicopter overnight. Imported electronics, satellite TVs, new motorcycles, and even solar panels appeared in places that barely had functioning roads. The outside world called it crime money. Inside, it felt like economic oxygen. But the ecosystem wasn't just builders, cooks, and negotiators. There was another quiet player, Al-Shabaab, an extremist militant group in Somalia known for attacks and funding operations through activities like extortion and ransom payments, operating from the shadows. Jama says calmly that the group didn't back piracy out of ideology, they backed it for revenue. Reports show they took a 5% security tax from ransom payments, treating hostage money like a business deal rather than a moral choice. Everyone got paid, Jama explained softly, because no one could afford not to. But if piracy fed towns, the world wasn't going to watch forever. And when they finally reacted, they reacted like sledgehammers. Guys, it's almost nighttime. The wind grows colder, the waves louder, and suddenly the coastline feels chaotic. Jama tells me piracy didn't collapse because pirates got bored, retired, or discovered crypto. It ended because the entire world showed up at Somalia's front yard, armed, angry, and not in a negotiating mood. Countries that couldn't agree on almost anything, but suddenly teamed up like the Avengers of the Indian Ocean. The US, UK, EU, China, Russia, India, Japan, and even South Korea formed massive naval coalitions, parking warships offshore like floating police stations loaded with missiles. Shipping companies stopped playing victim too. They hired private security,
Not mall cops, but ex-special forces operators who look like they were born holding AK-47s. Merchants upgraded cargo ship defenses, adding razor wire, water cannons, signal jammers, night drones, and tracking systems. The pirate success rate dropped fast. Then came the ultimate cheat code. Every captured pirate got prosecuted, not recycled. Life sentences became the new career-ending injury. Economics hammered them too. Pirate investments failed like bad Shark Tank pitches. Huge ransoms were blown on cars, cots, and unfinished homes that turned into skeleton mansions. No reinvestment, no business plan, no exit strategy. Within a few years, the coastline changed again. The trucks stopped arriving at night, the abandoned houses stopped growing, and the only thing pirates hijacked after 2017 was nostalgia. But just when I thought the story was over, Jama leaned closer and said, "The world thinks piracy is dead, but they don't understand Somali timing. Somalia's story wasn't finished." Despite the global naval victory years ago, by late 2023, the ocean around Somalia has started whispering again. It started small, attempted boardings, suspicious skiffs trailing ships, radio blackouts. Then came the headline everyone tried to ignore: Piracy returns, 2023 to 2025. A Bangladeshi-owned bulk carrier was hijacked off Somalia in late 2023, not during the old piracy era, but now, in the age of satellite surveillance and AI tracking. By early 2024, the world watched again when armed men seized the MV Abdullah, holding its crew hostage until foreign naval forces swarmed the waters like reboot-seasoned superheroes. And then came March 2024, the moment everyone realized this wasn't nostalgia, it was a comeback tour. The Indian Navy launched the 40-hour rescue operation, intercepting pirates, surrounding their vessel, and forcing a surrender that felt like a live-action season finale filmed on rough waters. But here's the twist. Piracy didn't return because the sea got exciting. It returned because it became the only option left. International naval patrols had been wound down when the crisis seemed over. Foreign vessels moved in again, exploiting fishing rights taken from local hands. Youth unemployment shot up. Climate-driven droughts wiped out inland income. When the land stopped feeding people, the sea became the only employer still hiring. 24 hours later, I finally understood. Somalia's story isn't about crime, it's about survival. Guys, I'm sitting on the rooftop of a guest house near the coast with Jama. From here, the ocean looks quiet, too quiet, like a retired fighter who still sleeps with his gloves on. I asked Jama the question I've been saving for 23 hours. Do you think piracy will fully return? He doesn't answer immediately. Then he says, if money comes to land, the sea will stay calm. If land stays empty, the sea will speak again. And honestly, I didn't have a comeback for that. I spent 24 hours with a man and others the world calls criminals, but Jama called himself a father. You can call them criminals, but you should first meet the conditions that shape them. Some stories aren't about choosing the right path. They're about surviving when every path is broken. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more travel adventures to the most hidden corners of the world. See you in the next video.